Hello, and welcome to the Mr. 50mm YouTube channel. You may have noticed, I am not in my Doom dungeon. I'm in fact in a forested area. A little bit of context. I'm in Ontario visiting my parents, and they live in a bit of a secluded area. So, I'm out for a walk, and I figure, let's make a video. It's a nice quiet spot, and honestly it's kind of nice. So today, we are going to be having a look at this. The Minolta Rokkor 45mm F2.8 for like a thread mount. You'll also probably notice then there's some sounds of nature here. That's kind of just what happens out here. At any rate, this is also going to be a new or a different style of video, obviously, since I'm just holding a DJI Pocket 1 and we're kind of just recording this way. I don't have a script, and we're going to be doing more of a walk and talk. And we'll see how that goes. With that said, let's flip the camera around and mount you to my chest, and we'll begin our walk. Right. Let's start. So, for a bit of context, I am shooting this on my DIY rangefinder that you may or may not remember. It is a camera that is based off of a Panasonic GF3 digital body and a fed rangefinder. And we'll be primarily viewing the lens through this camera. A bit of history on the lens. So this is a lens that came out of the 50s, and it was originally for the Minolta 35. It actually is the camera that originally came with that lens when I bought it. But the camera had seen better days. On my copy, the shutter on the camera had basically given up the ghost, as they say. In that it completely disintegrated. I assume part of it is just being left unattended for decades. But when I tried to wind the shutter, I noticed a bunch of fabric falling off it, and yeah, it was no longer light tight, to say the least. It did kind of fire though, so maybe there's hope. But either way, I'm not using that camera. Oh, almost died. Another fun fact is the Minolta 35 series actually did not conform to normal 35mm framing. So you might be familiar with your full frame dimensions, 24mm by 36, and there's of course half frame, your 24 by 18. Apparently Minolta disagreed with what full frame or 35mm should be, and so they actually started off, I believe, by doing 24mm by 33, eventually bumping up to 34.5. And they didn't endorse full frame as we know it until kind of late into their rangefinder game, on their like 6th camera, the Minolta 35 2B, maybe something like that. Just kind of weird. So this lens is actually originally not designed for full frame, at least not in the way that we I used to. But let's talk about the lens. It is a clearly vintage lens, and if you have a look at it, this is a silver finish one, and I think it is very nice. I've actually been shooting it on my DIY rangefinder now for the past couple weeks. Part of it is because it's so very compact. And I know what you're thinking though. 45 millimeters in micro four thirds cropland is 90. That is a little close. And you'd be right. But I find that's okay. I am comfortable shooting it. Now, I'm not sure if you can see it, but this lens has some interesting features. You got this texturing there and notches for focusing. And I find that quite convenient. Definitely better than a focusing tab. But even better, as you can see, there's a cutout right there for your aperture. Now, is this mostly annoying? Yes, because you have to turn the camera to the front to see it. And could they have put it over here? Yes, but they didn't. On this lens, it's on the bottom. So either way, it's annoying. So, really, this was the next best spot. Until later variants of the lens did put it up here, just above your focus scale. Oh, the bugs are out. Now, being that I'm primarily shooting this on the micro four thirds sensor, it's going to be a bit hard to comment on the optical aspects with regard to full frame. But from what I'm shooting, and from what I'm seeing, at least with my 2x crop, the lens performs quite well. Admittedly, I am stopping down a lot to around f4, mainly to make sure I hit focus. But even wide open, I do find it is acceptably sharp in the center. All right. We are now in an area where there's a clearing to our left. It's fairly neat. And, I think we are reaching a body of water. So I don't think I'm going to be going past this. To be fair, I was given warning that this would happen. That the area at this time is mostly wet. But I was also told if I do continue through there, I will eventually make it out to the main road, some 4-ish kilometers deep. But I don't think we'll be doing that today. Because it looks like this bog stretches for several hundred meters. So instead, I will go around. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there is a goose in the water in the distance. Well, we'll get some shots. Yeah, that was shorter than I thought. Alright. We'll take this path to the right there. Oh, it's muddy as well. Ah, well, it is spring, so we are getting things popping out of the ground and things sprouting, so kind of nice. We're also getting bugs though, which is less nice. And I assume that was a bird. Let us continue moving. On the ground, it looks like we have a volleyball of sorts. Weird. I don't know if this is actually part of the road or if this is just someone's land. Hopefully, this is part of the road. Didn't see any signs telling me not to come in. Ugh. From what I gather, this is a fairly popular trail to ATV on. I can see that. It's very nice out here. It does look like this has already been driven through. But back to the lens. The focusing on it on my copy is quite smooth. The travel appears to be around 180 degrees, which is nice. I will say on my copy it is smooth, but perhaps a bit too damped. It is harder to turn than I would like, but that might be more of a maintenance problem than anything. Alright, we are now reaching an area where I am seeing there is some material blocking the way, maybe indicating that I should not be here. Ow. It's also getting a bit buggy, so we will turn back. But it's a nice area. It does look like to our left there was some sort of a hide. Maybe, I assume, for pow-powing some animals. That is, or that no longer looks like a good structure. And I can see all the way in the distance there's some construction going on. So I will leave the area. Anyways, overall, I do very much like this lens. I do like it on my camera, and at some point I think I will do a full review talking about it on my full frame cameras, since I do have the autofocus adapter. And I did recently buy the EA9 Tech Art, the newer one. It is quite a bit nicer, quite a bit quieter, a bit faster. Overall, that is probably the adapter you want to actually buy if you're looking for something like that. But as a lens on a rangefinder, whether it is full frame or not, I do think this little 45mm performs fairly well from my limited time with it so far, especially at the center anyways, from what I'm seeing. And it is very compact. I will say though, looking at the rates online, they are not the cheapest lens. I've seen this variant seems to go for around 175 USD up to around 250 for a good copy. And that does mean it is kind of expensive for a normal lens, because all day long you can find Canon, Nikon, a bunch of Soviet 50mm for anywhere between $40 for a Soviet one to just under $80 for, say, a Canon 50 F2 or a Nikon 50 F2, and they're also pretty good. I don't know that they'd be substantially different from this, but also they would be made to cover the full 36mm frame. I mean, I don't think that these don't cover them properly, because I have, for a limited time, put it on my A7 there, and it does seem to mostly be fine. But definitely, these were originally intended for a slightly more narrow frame. I do actually wonder what Minolta thought they were trying to get away with when they introduced their camera, and it was not 24 by 36mm, since this was at the time already an established film format. But who knows? I mean, someone probably knows, I just don't. But for now, if you do spot one of these, and it is fairly cheap, and you do want to just try a different 50mm thread mount lens, or close to normal lens, we'll say that, this is a good one. It looks very nice, performs well enough for me. It's just a bit pricey, because they are less common. hopefully I will probably speed up the segments where I'm walking and we're not talking or anything. Who knows? But hopefully you've enjoyed the walk with me. And if I'm ever out in an area like this again, we'll try this again with another lens. But also, I keep saying that, you will notice that for the sample gallery for this, there will be photos from other times when I was just walking around with this camera and this lens. And that is because, as I said, this combo, it's kind of been what I've just stuck with for a while. Again, I really like the shape and size of the lens, and I don't mind the kind of short telly-ish crop that it ends up providing me with on the camera. It's also just given me a reason to shoot my DIY rangefinder, especially now that the weather is getting spring-like. I will admit that during winter, I was not shooting this flash rangefinders that much. You'll notice that I did do videos on it, on rangefinders, because I do like them a lot, but a lot of the time going out, there was a bit of dread in doing so. And that is mainly because winter's cold, and when it gets too cold, my fingies do not do what I want them to, and using rangefinders just becomes a little bit harder. So it's not because I don't like them or I stopped liking rangefinders, it's just the environment was not conducive to me using it. As a result, I only really shot the cameras I was planning to do a review for. Also, you can't see it, but you can hear it. There's a woodpecker directly above me. Let's see. This is a whole 90 millimeters. Let's see if I can get any sort of punching in with this. Alright, I'll put the image up and I'll try to punch it in. It is very backlit. I don't know if we're gonna see it. I'll try to bump the exposure comp up. Alright. I'm just gonna head back now. But yeah. Now that the weather is getting better and my fingers aren't freezing off, using a rangefinder is just nicer. It's something that I do not mind doing. In fact, I do prefer it. Alright, we had a bit of a weird cut there. I realized that in order to make this video a little more, make it flow a bit better, I'm going to actually put the photo gallery at the end. So you can feel free to skip it if you don't want to see it. And I'll do the regular sign off right now, and then we'll roll the images. But, not a but I do think this will make the video flow a bit better. With that, let me know what you think of this style of video. The walkie and talkies and the old chest cam. Whether or not it's alright, or if you think I should just stick to my scripts. It's been an interesting experiment for me. Got to go out for a walk, take some photos, and talk to myself like an insane person. That's always fun. Otherwise, yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, maybe a super thanks if you're into that. And now we will roll the sample gallery. Bye.